I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Historical Commission. We're expecting Linda Jackson, our chair, but she may be delayed, and I think there are some things we can get started with. Let me read the official notice here. Pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may record or transmit this open meeting. This hybrid meeting is being recorded by the town of Stockbridge. The names of members participating remotely will be announced. Any member of the public wishing to speak must first receive permission from the chair. The agenda items listed are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, but not all may be discussed, and other topics not listed may be brought up for discussion by the public body as permitted by law. All right, let's see. Speaking of the agenda, let's see if I can find my copy of it. Naturally, it's nowhere to be found. None of you have the agenda handy, do you? I can kind of remember what's on it.
I have it on my phone. I can find my purse.
I believe the main item on the agenda, well, let's do the minutes first. I got the correction from everybody that I had misspelled George's name. I'm blaming it on auto type or something. With that correction, George's name being spelled correctly, does anyone else have any edits to the draft September 16 minutes that I sent out yesterday?
No.
Thank you all. I will make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
And any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Actually, if you have a member online, you got to do a roll call vote for all votes.
Oh, okay. Let's roll call vote. Peter Williams votes yes.
John Bishop votes yes.
Maria Carr votes yes.
Georgia Marsden, yes.
Tom Schuler, yes.
Thank you all. We are now officially have approved the minutes. So the main item on this agenda is to touch base with Michael, who has graciously come to our meeting with less than 24 hours till his well-earned vacation, to just get an update on the historic assets in the town that are within the purview of the Historical Commission. And I'm happy to note that Linda has just arrived. We have copies of the key documents for you, Linda.
My apologies.
And we haven't gotten anywhere except we approved the minutes. And I was noting that I didn't have the agenda in front of me, but I was recalling that the main item was that we were going to check in with Michael to get updates on the various historic assets in town that are within the purview of the town and the Historical Commission. And we'll give you a moment to settle in here.
And it says scheduling for,
Thank you, Linda. Yes, the second item is scheduling for the, our next meeting is going to relate to the Community Preservation Committee applications because we have to review those. And so that'll be the second item on the agenda after we are able to free Michael. And Michael has given us two handouts for which we are grateful. One is an extensive field report. I guess it's a series of field reports.
Yes.
And it's sort of chronological descending. Maybe it's the latest stuff at the bottom. I see
Yes.
these photos.
Yeah.
There's some great photos on the very back page and the page inside of that.
is this Tom?
Yes, so that's
Good.
Tom on there. And so we have 6 of us.
We have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So,
I think Linda has her own little
I
sketched out agenda.
I quickly did
Way to
this,
go.
but, I put things in alphabetical order, so hang on just one second.
All right. The secretary / note keeper will try to get organized.
So I'm just wanted to open with one thing. I find this email from 2020, September, and I got to the end of it. It was a discussion about similar projects that we're going to talk about today. And I stated at the end, at this point, it would be good to have some sort of meeting to explore options for the town if this work is to proceed. That was one of the towers. The SHC is a volunteer board. It has over 100 years of collective professional experience with aspects of historic preservation. So we are happy to be included in any discussions as needed. So that was the number one thing we wanted to talk about today, how some of these things have progressed and we haven't really gotten any information and feel a little hanging, with lack of factual material. So could we talk about the chime tower first?
Sure, whenever.
Because I noted there's several aspects of that came up in the selectmen's meeting. So could we talk about that for just a minute? I did not hear the meeting, so I can't speak to any.
All right. Yeah, I can go over what's done. I do know as far as the chime tower, we did go over the specs and the work that was done. I believe it was in 2022 when we went out to bid because you guys identified priorities such as you wanted, if we had leftover slate that was good, we would start on the north face, work our way around. So we went over those items that would need to be done. I will say as far as that email, that predates me by about a month. I'm more than willing to come regularly to your meetings. If you just, I know you don't have a regularly scheduled meeting, I think you meet as needed.
As needed.
So just give me a heads up so I can schedule to come to your meetings and I gladly come and give you consistent updates. And then if there's any major changes, I will bring them forward to you as far as those items. Because sometimes these are spread out among multiple committees. I know we have some work being done, specifically 2 projects that are happening through the Cemetery Commission. And then we have the Fountain Committee, which has the horse trough. And then we have the Mary Goodrich Bridge. We have the Curtisville Bridge. We have the Chime Tower. So there's a bunch of stuff happening. And I will gladly come and speak on all of them and keep whatever boards want information on them. So as requested, I'll start with the Chime Tower. So you have the field reports 1 through 9 with a 9 revised and then number 12, 10 and 11, they're still working on. So those we'll be getting those also. So the slate work, if anybody can, it's still a little hard to see up there with the scaffolding, but if you do notice, the slate has all been replaced. The entire north face is the original slate. We did not have enough slate to do the other eastern side. So the other 3 sides are new slate. That slate is matched. I was up there and close up, you can see a little slight difference in the color, but overall the color is very close.
So wait, back up 1 second. The east side?
We had originally talked about going north, east, south, then
Okay.
west.
So we have 3 sides with the original slate.
No, 1 side,
Only one.
only 1. The rest of the slate was too worn, too thin in order to put back up. We would have ended up. When we were up there, we found everything from pieces of rubber that people had cut to shape like slate and had nailed in place and things like that. So we did the 3 sides in new slate and the north side has replacement slates. I believe we have 18 pieces of good old slate in case we have any issues with the north face. And those are going to be stored down at the highway garage. And then we have 200 replacement slate for the other 3 sides, which will go to the highway garage also. So that'll allow us to make repairs with the actual slate that is there. The copper's all been reinstalled, flashing and the rest. So you've got copper back up there as far as the flashing. One of the big issues that we ran in early on was one of the support beams. And I think it's really lucky we got to this when we did. The northeast corner beam was completely rotted through, the main support beam. You could actually stick a screwdriver into the piece and
that's all water damage.
that's all water damage. So what happened at some point is when they went to ground the building, They ran the grounding cord down right to that corner and then drilled a hole through. And there was no caulk present. So we're gonna, as I go through this, you're gonna see that there was a bunch of stuff, I believe it was in the early 80s that were done from what I was able to see, and none of the work was done in a way that would, way it probably should have been done. There should have been some residual caulk there, but it looks like it wasn't caulked. So that entire channel was running down and water was pouring into that main support beam, which completely rotted it out. So the beam was removed, a new beam with the same design elements of the other beams was installed. You'll notice that there's numbers of pictures as you go through showing the rot within the cupola itself. Some of it's dry rot just because of the age of it, but most of it, especially in the main support beams and the rest, was water damage. The big thing that we went over last night was the fact that at that time, they covered the bottom portion of the tower with cement. Cement on limestone is not an appropriate cover. It actually ends up holding moisture behind it. And what's happened is the southeast corner of the chime tower, or the southwest corner of the chime tower, we were able to chip off the cement, and behind it, the limestone, you can actually push your fingers into it like it's rock. So right now we are trying to source limestone. We're pretty sure that the limestone, similar to other structures in the town, came from Great Barrington, from a quarry down there that hasn't been in use for decades, because the Berkshire limestone was used quite often back in the 1800s, but it is a soft rock and it's not used. Limestone itself is not used often anymore. So we're trying to source rock in order to match up, because when listening to the guys, Preservation Inc. also came over and was helping us look at that stone. And one of the key things is different types of stones interact with each other. So you want to put the same or similar stones that match up to it. What they're going to have to do is chisel out all the soft stone till they get the hard stone. Then they'll actually, they have stonemasons who will cut the new stone and slide it into place, mortar it. We're going to be removing all the cement that was used as coverings for the mortar. Remove that and put proper mortar back in, and we'll chisel out the thing up to 6 feet. So a lot of this is down at the lowest level where both water gets on it and splash from rain and everything else hits the bottom.
So this was an unforeseen expense.
Yeah, yes.
Because it was the cement covering.
Covered it, right. And we've uncovered the rest. We think we're going to be able to fix everything there. We're going to reset the bottom stone. I forgot to mention that last night. Part of it is going to be resetting the bottom step going in, which has
Right.
put away. So we think that we have the funds available to do up to 6 feet, and that will take care of all the major issues on the tower itself as far as the masonry that's at the bottom.
Who's doing the masonry work, Michael?
Diversify. The company, their restoration company, they specialize in masonry and the woodwork. Titan Roof did the shingles, as they work with slate roofs. So.
Where was that roofing company from? Just out of curiosity.
I don't have that.
They're not local.
No, they were the low sub bidder. So,
Okay.
by law, you have to go with the,
I realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
Is engineering still doing some oversight, or how do they?
EDM on this project.
Got it.
Yes, it was Carlos Schlesinger who was originally involved. He's since retired, and now it's Mark Frederick, who is the lead engineer on this project. We're hoping, in order to keep this on task and get this work done prior to winter setting in, we're hoping that they were hoping to get to me this week, the change order, so we could get the work going. But the board did authorize, while I am on vacation, that Georgia can review and authorize the change order while I'm away, in order to get this work done. But they weren't able to give me a price yet because they still have to find what stone, where they're going to source it from, and then finalize that cost. Other than that, the work's coming along great. They're if you can see it through the scaffolding, the numbers, the lettering, the wood lettering on the dials and everything is being restored right to the way it looked when the chime tower was in its prime. So.
Are they using wood for that or is that?
Yeah. Yeah, there are some places where we have exposed wood that was really rotted. We're using the MFR just to protect and then the rest. So.
Not 3D printing.
No, no. There was at one point an idea that popped forward of doing aluminum clock faces. And I said I'd have to bring it to this committee if we're not going to restore it what it was and that. And then I said, well, how long? And then it's like, well, I said, do it the way we originally said, restore it. We'll deal with that after. So right now we don't have where the clock will be working when it's done. We're going to explore that after, but what we will do is set the clock to 2:16 was where it stopped when it was hit originally by lightning and stopped. And there's an article about it. And then there's a company, I'm trying to remember the name,
One time.
one time, I will be bringing in to take a look at what we can do as far as electronic controls behind it as a possibility, and I'll bring the Historic Commission in on that. The system that we have up there is a 24-hour system where the chimes will chime every hour if it's operating on the hour because of the way the wheel was designed and the rest. It's a 24-hour one. And then the whole mechanical setup as to whether or not we want to stay with that, or if we want to put electronic motors based on each of the clock faces to allow them to change. And then we can set parameters like sunrise to sunset. We can change it with daylight savings, things like that. So, but that's for the future. Right now, it's all in there, but the clock mechanism itself hasn't.
For what it's worth, and I think I mentioned this in a public forum before, I'm in the pipe organ business. And I have a lot of experience with clock controls and time controls and what's available for making musical instruments work automatically.
All right.
Just
Once we get this, I'll jump in there. I know the playing instrument part has been fully restored.
Yeah.
And now it's really just the clock itself. And for the hourly chime one, it's really not that. If you don't want to do the clock face, one of the easiest ones, I've been told by everybody, is just the putting a separate striker for the main bell for the hour. And you basically add another striker on electronic control. We'll leave everything else as is, and then every hour it'll just chime. And you can, with the electronic, you can actually adjust how hard you want it to hit so that it's sounding, but it's not compared to the mechanical. But that, I will bring it to this committee before any decisions, and we'll have to look at what the costs are, the rest, and then what option we think is the best for the chime tower. But the physical structure, the cupola will be restored. All the masonry work from 6 feet down will be fully restored, and that's where we have our biggest concerns. And the chime tower will be in great shape for this upcoming memorial and 4th of July for the celebrations that will be happening at the 250th.
thank you.
You said you're replacing the step going.
Not replacing it, resetting it.
Resetting.
Yes,
Okay.
it won't be replaced, it'll be
Okay.
reset.
I was-
If you go over the bottom set is like sunk down and like, if I said, I misspoke, it's
Okay.
going, the same step's going to be, they're going to pull it out, reset it, slide it in so that it's,
So the benchmark that's.
Yeah,
in a
all
step
that
is
will-
all
Yeah,
fine, yeah.
yeah. And the other two steps are part of the main strut, it's that bottom step. If you go
Oh.
over there, that's sort of come loose and sunk, and that needs to be reset.
Is there consideration, I don't know, about putting a foundation under that step? Because it's probably just, it's
Yeah, they're going to,
sitting
no,
on
they're going to,
the ground, I don't know.
they're going to secure the bottom step so that it'll remain in place. So, yeah.
Hey, Michael, just back on the clock, just to make sure I have the whole picture. I recall like way back when there was some discussion with the Bell people that they do clocks too, and they could put in a whole new thing. So we decided not to do that as a basic idea. We're sort of repaired what's there or.
So the mechanism itself, the gear feeding the top that would have to be remilled and basically done by hand by a millwright who could do it. There's a couple pieces that are going to need to be fixed if we want to restore the actual physical working mechanism. Or if we move to some,
I got you. So that hasn't actually been decided. I see.
No.
It's really just the face of the clock that's
The
been
face.
fixed up. Got it.
and unless somebody has a better idea, we just thought, since the clocks aren't working, that we set them to the time when the clock stopped working. I forget what the date was that it was hit by lightning and the clock stopped working, and there's an article saying it was 2:16. So in the absence of it on any other time, I mean, my only other thought was it's 5 o'clock somewhere, we can set it to 5 o'clock. But I think 2:16 sort of fits with the history of the town. So that's when it stopped, and then we'll evaluate for after the 250th anniversary to do something with maybe getting the clock mechanisms themselves working. And we may have to look at modern solutions for
Okay,
Well, it's good to have John, for thoughts.
back up here.
it. Yes.
Okay, so let me see, there were two, all right, so Curtisville Bridge.
We have a handout on that also, right?
Yeah, is that,
That's the little thin
This
handout.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pictures on the back on page 2. Yeah.
So, the Curtisville. So probably about a year ago, the select board had talked about the Curtisville Bridge. And one of the things is if we have to bring it up to a chapter 85 bridge, which because of the condition of it, we'd have to restore it to chapter 85 standards in order to put vehicles and others. At that time, it was about 1.6 million we'd have to take down the bridge, put up a modern bridge, and then use stones to create the facade of a stone arch bridge. Mass Historical, and this was building off of the study that was done in 2015. And if you remember, Mass Historical was not thrilled with that.
2016.
Oh, 2016. Yeah. All right. So the planning grant we received in 2015 expires in 10 years, 2025. So after 2026, we can do what we want with it. It'll be outside of the deed restriction that's on it right now by Mass Historic. Mass Historic looks at it as taking down a bridge and putting it up. They don't even care if you take it down and build it just like they used to. That's a new bridge. So they want to know what can be saved it. So that began a little bit. The board wasn't entirely sure if they wanted to reopen the bridge, because even though we could put like the rails back up on the outside, we would have had to put the modern rails, which if anybody's seen what the Averitt Road Bridge looks like with a current bridge, how thick the rails have to be in the rest. As far as guardrails, the bridge was not going to look like it does now because of the modern requirements of a chapter 85 bridge. So that made me think, and I actually came up with this idea about 6 months ago and said, well, there's other bridges that do weird things, like in Shelburne Falls, Bridge of Flowers, and how do they get away with that? So then I began researching it, talked with our engineers, and then I had a couple meetings with Mass DOT Bridge Unit. And the option available to the town is that we discontinue the road. This will be the selectmen making the first determination, discontinue, and then it'd have to go to town meeting. Once a road is discontinued as a vehicular passage, then the town itself is not subject, that the road can't have vehicles on it, but the vehicle is not subject, the bridge, the structure would not be subject to chapter 85 regulations. That would allow us to bring in more of a historic organization to say, how can we save this structure, but not have to build it to the standards of a chapter 85 bridge? So the thought is, and if you look at the picture, the thought is that we install what's called a trail bridge over the top of the Stone Arch Bridge. The trail bridge is where pedestrians would actually cross, but wouldn't sit on the bridge itself. And this would be a larger bridge similar to the one that's on the dam up at the Stockbridge Bowl that we installed over the dam. So it's a slightly arched bridge.
Is this Shelburne?
No, that's our bridge using AI to
Oh, okay.
recreate it. There's a house right in the
Okay.
back. There's everything.
And may I just ask, where is this bridge? I'm new on the committee.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is.
What happened to the brick building?
Oh, the brick building will be to the right.
It's over here.
Yeah, the white building's across the way.
Yeah,
So this is south of, south of Stockbridge Bowl. It's located, you come down 183 and then what's the road when you go to the left off 183 right there?
Interlake Crossroad.
Interlake and Crossroad. There's a brick building and then this bridge is sitting there. And right now it's got
Right here, it's got
barriers, it's
building.
got.
And this inn is sort of
I got it.
noticeable.
I got it. I know it. Yep.
And what this would allow us is, once we get the pedestrians off the physical bridge itself, it would allow us to just fix the bridge underneath. And what we're proposing, the concept is that we take the blacktop up on the bridge and then plant low rooting plants, because it's basically dirt behind the wall. Creating flowers underneath the pedestrian bridge and then have the pedestrian bridge go over the top. And then we'd restore the wing walls. And once again, we're not building the Chapter 85 standards. We're just trying to keep the historical structure up and directing people over a safe bridge. And we'd be putting in a bridge that's a trail rated bridge. So these are the bridges that you find on trails that allow for pedestrian traffic. And the same bridge we're thinking about, if you want to take a look at that bridge, just look at the dam at the outlet to the Stockbridge Bowl. We have a smaller one. This would be a larger one, but we have a smaller one that was installed last year over the Stockbridge Bowl dam.
Is that sort of right in the same area, sort of accessible from a little bit further up?
Yeah, this would connect the walking route that a lot of people use. They cross here, then they go up and then they cross the dam and continue up to the bowl. So it's a concept, it's an idea, but it's really the only plan that I've been able to research with our engineers, the state and everybody else that would allow us to maintain the bridge itself. And then the bridge underneath, we'd be just bringing in stonemasons and saying, listen, you're not worrying about this bridge to carry cars or anything else. What can we do to just keep the physical structure
Yeah,
historically up?
Who actually owns that triangle of land?
We do.
It's a town
On
property.
both sides, there's triangle pieces of,
Okay.
and we might have to look at what we do with exactly how, whether you take up the blacktop and just put a blacktop path to the walking bridge
Yeah,
and stuff. So, yeah. So this is a conceptual idea. I'm sure the select board would love to hear from this commission if you think that it's something the board should consider going forward with. We'd be doing this mostly on our own, but we possibly could actually go for Mass Historic, because now there's a big conflict between Mass Historic and Chapter 85 bridge standards where, you know, they get in the way of each other sometimes, but this would now be truly just restoring the structure itself. So it's just a concept.
I think that this is a very pretty picture. I'm putting it down, but I think it
There's a lot of gardening. going
is not really showing the amount of stone. There's a huge amount of stone with these wing walls and, you know, the channel itself and the brick building.
It's just a conceptual idea. It's not meant to be anything more
I
than
know,
just
I know, I'm just,
pass along the
I wouldn't be waving this around myself because it shows it's a great idea, but it's not in proportion to the amount of work that is there.
Well, the bridge underneath is actually the image of the bridge back from an old image.
Yeah, and
The wing wall is the only thing that's different, is the wing walls are lower.
Much lower.
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, I guess that's what Linda is.
But we could consider like the wing wall, putting plantings along the riverbank to secure the riverbank instead of building out more higher vertical wall to slope back the wall. You know, there's a bunch of options that can be explored. So I just think a picture is worth, you know, because when I was trying to explain to people what a pedestrian bridge would look like over an existing bridge, I really think this is the best way to show it. And I tried to do it a bunch of different ways and it just looked really strange. And I'm no expert at AI stuff. So I was just like, okay. And I uploaded an image of that's actually an image of the bridge that's at the dam. And then an image of the actual bridge itself, I was able to find, and then had AI sort of merge them, and you have to keep telling it, well, that's not the way I want it to look. So like I said, I think it's just conceptually allows residents, boards, and the rest to, I mean, if somebody else wants to take a crack to make it look a little better, but I do think, yeah, the idea is that the structure itself can be, and the wing walls have already failed. So exactly what we do with the wing walls to the north, whether we want to do shallower and then just slope the bank back and put some nice plantings and really try to beautify this area.
I don't think you want to go there because that's a Conservation Commission issue,
A what?
messing with the riverbank
Oh, no,
beyond us.
we'll be, right. But that's where I'd have to bring in multiple boards as far as conservation. And we'd say, look, we're going to pull all those stones out of the collapsed wing wall because the north wing walls on both sides have collapsed into the stream.
Now, this is not my first waffle with bridges, so I'm just saying.
Wouldn't the wing wall on the other side of the bridge that goes against the brick building have to be a lot higher than?
Well, the wing walls to the south are fine. So
Oh,
the wing walls to the south don't get the same current because the water has to go through the bridge arch
Okay.
itself. On the north side, where the river hits the wing walls failed. I don't know how long ago before I got here, because I went up within the first few months that I was here, and the wing walls to the north had both already collapsed into the stream. So
And they
I'm
don't
not-
have been rebuilt, so that was,
so the ones on the south side of the bridge
yeah,
don't have to be redone or?
those would stay as is. It's really the work that needs to be done on the north face and then the fixing of the arch itself underneath where it's separating.
So, Michael, I recall you saying at one time that the bridge could collapse any day.
No one would guarantee use of that bridge even for, no engineer would sign off on allowing that bridge to be used for either pedestrian or cars in the condition it's in. What this allows us to do is we'd be putting the pedestrians over the trail bridge. They would not be physically getting on. So therefore, whatever work we do to the bridge underneath is just to secure the bridge. You're not worrying about meeting Chapter 85 standard or what's called ASHTO, which are it's the one for pedestrian use of bridges. The pedestrian trail bridge will be rated to carry pedestrians. And it'll be set well beyond on either side, beyond the riverbank. So it'll create an arch over the top. And then as you're walking over, you'll be able to look down. We could put some stanchions up, talking about the history of the bridge. Like a display thing if we ever wanted to the work that was done to keep it. But I think if you want to keep the Stone Arch Bridge, instead of just taking it down and then putting up stones to create the false facade of a stone arch bridge, this is the only thing I've been able to come up with. I mean,
Michael, do you have any sense for how much that would cost? You
No.
mentioned 1.3 million to restore the bridge to satisfy the provision under Chapter 85. But I mean, to me, as someone, I must confess, I have more of a personal interest in perhaps the rest of the commission, since I do live on Interlake and Crossroad. I'd love to see something like that, a pedestrian bridge. I mean, it does sound to me like it would certainly be, from a cost perspective, a whole lot less money than restoring the bridge to satisfy Chapter 85.
Yeah, so it's 1.6 million and that was a year ago. So I bet you it's closer to 2 to put it as a Chapter 85 road bridge. This would be significantly less. We'd be just securing, even the stuff like pulling up the blacktop, that could be done by our own crew internally. And then it would be bringing in some stonemasons to say, how do we get as many years as we can out of this? And then, yes, I'd go to the Conservation Committee with an NOI in order to build the wing walls on the north side. And then whether or not we want to build the wing walls. If you build the wing walls all the way up like they were, that's going to get quite expensive. If you were to build them to a lower level and flip the banks back and put some plantings in, it would. But the wing walls have completely failed at this point. I mean, they're in the stream.
I'm pretty familiar with what it looks like. No, anyway, well, I appreciate you giving us the heads up on that. I know at least I can't speak for the rest of the commission, but I'd be very interested in following whatever path this potentially would take, especially including the idea of having some sort of pedestrian bridge over that area.
And I'll send you a copy of this picture
That'd be
and
great.
this report so you can see it.
Sure.
Michael, I did hear you say at the select board meeting last night that you would consult with the historical commission about this.
Yeah,
And I think I heard some discussion of the idea that, I think and you said at the beginning of this meeting, there's sort of a two-step legal process to, what's the term for discontinuing?
yep,
One, the select board would have to so vote, and then two, it would have to be approved at town meeting by majority vote.
yep.
And so I think the suggestion was in the air that we should move ahead on this so that all those things could happen in time for the town meeting in May to vote on it. And so if you think it'd be useful for the historical commission today to approve the concept of abandoning the road with the goal of saving the bridge, as you have described it, I think that's something we could consider. I defer to the chair. That was to how.
This is a lot to chew on, I must say.
We are going to have another meeting in November.
We might want to figure out how we want to endorse this. I mean, in that we have to answer to Mass Historical Commission as well, and they'll probably want to get an update for where things stand, because they so know that we have this dangling restriction. So we might want to.
We can run it by Matt. I mean, that's up to this committee on how you want to do. Mass Historical will not have any deed restrictions or anything else on it because planning grants are only 10 years. And that was pulled in 2015 and expires in 2025. So after 2025 discontinuance of the road, the town can do what's needed. And in this case, the meetings that I did have a few years ago with Mass Historical is that they want the bridge itself saved, not a facsimile, not a rebuild.
Right.
They want this, and this would be the only option. The only difference is you're not putting vehicles over it.
Yeah, you're saving the bridge, right? Because of course, the bridge was built in the horse and buggy days.
Right.
When it didn't have the same load that, my God, if a fire truck went over it today. So, I mean, the idea makes a lot of sense to me, and.
The Board of Selectmen will be meeting, they're doing their tax classification hearing, and I doubt we're gonna take any action on this till I'm back. So we're not gonna be talking about this probably till November too.
Okay.
So I would say maybe if you bring it back and just, I mean, and also, it's been ongoing for many, many years. It depends on whether we want to try to get it into this year and begin the engineering work, because there's still gonna have to be some design work by, I shouldn't say engineering, we'd be bringing in more of a preservation group because we're no longer doing it to the engineering standards of 85, chapter 85. We're just trying to save the bridge, and we just need some stonemasons and probably coordination. I'd probably look at a group, either, any of the restoration. I'm trying to remember who the person was for the Civil War monument, or
Right, yeah.
Preservation Inc., who's been doing a bunch of work. They also are interested in this. So there's a couple places I could get some quotes on them to begin coordinating with stonemasons to do the repairs instead of, like I said, engineering. So it becomes a preservation project instead of an engineering project. If it's under chapter 85, it's an engineering project.
It would be all modern. I mean, we'd have to realize
You could,
it's not going to be
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
historical part left if we did it under 85. So.
right, you'd have to put the rails on the outside, the historic rails, but on the inside, you'd have to put a guardrail similar to the guardrail. Just look at the one that's at Everett Road. That's the size guardrail you're gonna have on the inside of our rails on this bridge if it has to be a chapter 85. So I don't think anybody wants that. And I think this was the only option that I can come up with for the town to consider. I've spoken to our engineers, I've spoken to past, and really this is the only way if we want to try to do something to restore the bridge, is to get it out from the state DOT standards, out from the Mass Historical standards, and go with an option to just have some stonemasons repair and keep the bridge standing for as long as we can.
Be interesting to see, I mean, Tom's weighed in because he lives on Interlake and Cross Road, but what the two abutters right next to the bridge, the brick house and the White House, what they think about this idea.
I know what the White House thinks,
Yeah.
but I don't know the brick owner.
Well, I
I've heard
I
it.
don't live very far from it
That's
either,
right.
so
Yeah.
I like to see it restored.
I
Yeah,
think,
I think I find that most of the
Well,
people.
like this,
are
not,
for-
not for cars
Yeah.
necessarily.
Sorry,
It's
Tom.
Go ahead,
gone
Tom.
on so long as a closed bridge that people have gotten used to not driving over it, you know?
Right.
So it's
Agreed.
not a big change when it comes to that aspect.
So yes, let's put it on the, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
We had a meeting, a neighborhood meeting last summer, not this summer, but the summer before, where the people that lived in the brick house on the corner, as well as the White House, they hosted. And I think you would find, if you were to canvass the folks that were at that meeting, there's significant enthusiasm about the idea of having some sort of pedestrian bridge. So I think that'd be certainly something I think that a lot of people in that area would be very much in favor of. But obviously, you have to do your own vetting and polling. But that was my sense.
I believe was that the one I came to by Zoom?
Yes, I think it may have been Michael.
Yeah, so I had originally gone to the neighborhood and explained the two options at the time, which were a pedestrian bridge, but restoring this, and a
Right.
pedestrian bridge as a vehicle bridge, which either of them would require taking the bridge down, numbering the stones, and then creating false facades. This is a new concept of getting it right off. And like I said, I've explored it through the state and explored it through our engineers and the rest. And this is really the only way we can make this a restoration project and not an engineering project.
I applaud you for your imagination, Michael. So we'll put this on the agenda for November.
yeah, I think we need to do that.
Sounds good.
And I thought that I'd just give a couple updates on some of those smaller ones that I mentioned, just for your information, if you'd like.
Could I continue?
Sure.
Because I kind of wanted just to cover what was discussed in the selectmen's meeting before we go back to our last meeting where we had a list of suggestions that we wanted to work on projects. So, okay, we'll put this on the November meeting. And the next item on that was the Revolutionary War Monument. I've heard nothing about it except running into Rick Wilcox. And I think we need to have a firm update on that and who's making the decisions on the names on the monument and verifying all that.
Okay.
So do we have anybody that speaks to that?
I can give you a complete PowerPoint, which I will send to this commission. We've had a working group going since July 1st, including the tribe, including historians, who have been working on developing the names along with what group, what sources we've used to get the names and everything else. Because we realized if we were going to get this done and dedicated in time for the 250th, which was proposed, we need to get that group. So it's just a working group under me that's been meeting 2 to 3 times a month and developing these names. And it's been a constant upgrading and the rest. We have multiple members, like I said, of the tribe. You'll see in the PowerPoint all the people that have been involved in this and developing the name listing and the rest. So,
But you do understand that the Historical Commission should be included in a discussion like that. I mean, this is about things historical. That's what this commission does.
Right.
And so to be bypassed or not even asked if we'd like to be coming to these meetings seems a little odd. And that is a complete oversight, I think, of, what this commission does.
But I'll just chime in with what Michael said. The PowerPoint that he'll send you with the list of names it's spelled out. We received it last night and with the names and each name has a significance of where they found it and they're still studying 2 names. I mean, they had like 1,600 names to begin with and they've got it down to 466 Stockbridge people. With 2 still questionable, because Stockbridge was a place where people came to then enlist.
Right.
So this is only for Stockbridge people. So and it's a working group, so that maybe that working group should have asked the Historic Commission, but it's still just a working group before it comes. So, I mean, the PowerPoint is very specific. I thought it was excellently done. And then the list of names and the codes and everything, when you see it, you'll understand that.
Yeah, and I'll send the list of names in the PowerPoint to this committee and you guys can review the names. We were asking the community now to review the names based on the information that we've been able to do coordinating the tribe. And of course, when you're dealing with the tribe as a sovereign nation and everybody else, we had to think of a way to get this jump started and going in order to begin the research. And it's been a very thoroughly researched endeavor. So I'll send you the PowerPoint. The commission itself can weigh in if you want. And then we will go from there. And then the select board will be considering the things such as, the monument and the rest for a new monument over there for the Revolutionary War, which right now seems to be one larger stone similar to the World War I, because with 466 names.
It won't fit on the black granite.
Or you're going to go with the more modern, like the other wars, those more modern ones, and you'd have to have 3 or 4 of those. And they really don't fit with the revolution. If you did a larger stone, you could do a single brass plaque on top of it, but it would be a significant stone in there. And you'll see in the PowerPoint where just the concept was given to the Board of Selectmen to consider reconfiguring the lot over there. But there's been a tremendous amount of effort put in by a lot of people, hundreds of hours.
I understand that. That was not at all what I was quibbling about. I'm just saying the lack of information to this commission is grave. I mean, we need to know these things. So let's get moving on here because we've got a couple more for you, Michael. Going back to our last meeting that we had with you, and I put these in alphabetical order, the horse trough.
So the horse trough is still underway. Vern Tower is doing the work. The trough was taken to his shop. Similar to what we talked about with the limestone, even though granite is a hard stone, because of the location of the horse trough where salt and other stuff is splattered on it, a lot of it has deteriorated where granite actually becomes pulpy, once again, almost like rotted wood. So he's cut out pieces and then reinstalled pieces. And due to personal reasons, there was a delay.
And do we have his name again for the
Vern Tower.
Vern.
VRN.
I've heard that name. Where does he operate out of?
Richmond, he did the restorations of the Marian Fathers fountains. He did the restoration of the fountain in Lee. So he's been involved in a lot of projects and that, so.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the one in Lee more than the others.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we probably should continue to call it the watering trough because there's 3 troughs on there. Humans, horses, and little pets.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that when they reinstall it, that's more visible because it was sunken into the pavement. The one
Yeah.
for the cats and the dogs. So, I mean, it was broken too.
Yeah.
All right. So do we have an estimated time on it or?
We're hoping to reinstall it in the spring.
Spring, okay. Okay, and then right after that, I have the Soldiers Monument situation. Requesting to get a fence around it and have them not,
Working on getting quotes for a fence
I was
to be
hoping-
installed around it.
I was gonna give you another name, but you just keep going, because I think I
I'm
gave.
trying to remember his name.
All right.
Bartle?
Thank you. I'm sorry, sometimes I'm bad with names.
That's okay.
He actually stopped in earlier.
Oh, all right.
So he's examining the pictures that were sent to him. He's putting together that. And in order to put something up around around the monument itself, similar to the design of what was there before, whether or not it needs to be as big of an area for
I
the
don't-
grass, or whether it just needs to delineate where there should be no plantings or nothing else near the solar.
But you can see that there was a considerable space there because it was a bigger island,
Right.
much bigger space. And you can see the pictures taken at the time of the installation and the celebration. But the idea is to have that buffer,
Right,
and the buffer needs to not have plants in it.
right, nothing with inside.
And
Right.
also, I feel a little sorry about the cannon there. It didn't get the love that the monument did. And I think it would be a good expense, you want to see that? To, rejuvenate that a little bit because it's part of the monument.
Right.
Really.
So, I'm sorry about that. That, I spoke to Michael about the fence around that was one of my things about the Civil War monument. And I would like to have the cannon also restored because the wheels aren't there and everything. So, I contacted Bob Bartle. I sent him a whole bunch of pictures about the fence so he could look at what it looks like. So, because that's what he does. I haven't gotten into the cannon yet. But I was hoping to maybe apply for CPC money, at least for the fence for this year, but I have to still wait and see.
We didn't even take it out of our budget. I mean, we've asked for 2 years about this and that would be $1,000 right there, but it needs the protection.
Right. And I agree with you. You mean take it out of historic preservation?
No,
I'm out of
our own
historic-
budget. We have a
historic-
budget. And we were spending it on gas and some consultants, but right now it's sitting there, so.
Well, that would be,
We could at least use that as seed money to
Right.
do investments.
Yeah, because we need help to do, the cannon itself is something a little tricky. It's not.
yes, and
We could reach out to the Springfield Armory.
I know somebody that's
something like that, and
interested.
ask them. if
Well, not
they have any
this week, because
experts.
they're not going to be
Well,
there.
sure.
But there's also someone from the 25th Continental Regiment that is interested in the cannon at the Civil War Monument and looking at it and for restoration purposes. So we could reach out to him too. So
Okay.
it may not happen for this year because the CPC is now, everything is happening like boom, boom, boom. But at least we know that's what I want to do. And the Historic Commission wants to do that about the fence and look into the cannon. I think that would be great.
Do we know where the cannon came from? Anybody?
Have no idea, but I like the
I-
boom, boom, boom to go with the cannon.
I don't know if I have anything in my records or not. I have to go back and look.
I just be curious. But it's obviously, well, it isn't obvious that it's there.
It is on some of the other pictures that I got from the historical.
Yeah, because this is before the cat and dog fountain is there.
Right. So then I have other ones that are, that show the cannon.
And Maria's got a boatload too, so,
Yeah,
okay. Well, we'll
about
we'll
20
put that.
pictures of it.
Oh,
I'm gonna write down
Do
cannon.
you need any?
Oh, all right. The
I can send-
library sent me some, so maybe I'll get you to,
I can send you some pictures.
Okay. Great. The South Street Bridge.
The Tuckerman?
no,
No, South Street.
the one going down Route 7. So past the garage and going towards Great Barrington,
Oh,
That-
Glendale, the larger bridge.
right on
One
Route
that's a
7.
single lane right now.
No,
Mm-mm-mm.
all the way down on Route 7. We're going down Route 7, not that way.
By the trolley.
You know,
The old
near
trolley.
Park
shed.
Street Park.
Oh, all right.
That bridge.
Yeah, that's a state bridge, right.
Right.
Lights.
Right.
Okay, so the bridge is important because it was designed by Henry Bacon, who designed the Lincoln Memorial, who was a good friend of Daniel Chester French and the architect of his house and studio. So we didn't have lights on it for a long time. And I think the Fitzpatrick family requested that the town do something about lighting the bridge again. And then two other things happened. First, I discovered a sketch of the S. I finally put it together. How did Daniel Chester French and Bacon get this bridge going? And it was part of the beautification of Stockbridge. So we got the mold from Chesterwood and sent it to the art lab. They fixed the mold and they went to a foundry and made the 4 bronze S plaques. Now, I think we're missing one right now.
Or more.
They keep getting ripped off.
I haven't looked lately.
And where are they? So wait, and I remember, Deb McMenamy, when she was a selectman, she was looking into those molds, and I don't know where that all, we couldn't find them.
Well, the railing also had a plaque
Yeah.
discussing the 1955 work on the bridge, and that's gone now. I mean, somebody is plucking the metal everywhere they're able to pry it off, so I think we need to figure out something about that. I mean, it's a beautiful bridge. It really is.
Right, and so the molds, we don't know where they are, so we couldn't replicate them.
No, the mold is at Chesterwood. It was their property, so they loaned it.
Okay,
So the art lamp. And then they made, obviously with the foundry, they made a newer, you can do this impression.
maybe that's something this commission might want to check out and put them back on that bridge. But we'd have to check with Mass DOT because it's,
Oh, I don't think the plaques were any problem ever, but the date thing would be a nice, thing to have back on. The rails are, as you say, they're the new rails. They're specified by DOT. So that's what we had from the 1950s on. So we'll make that a resolution in our next meeting too. Now, the last, there's just two more things, Michael, before you go have lunch. I just want to reinforce the fact that the communication with the Stockbridge monthly community is very important. And I have been in touch all along, many years, with Bonnie Hartley mostly. And now Bonnie has an assistant who operates out of this Williamstown office. And he's the one who's been calling me recently. So I think that in any of our projects, we have to consider things underground is just as important as buildings above, because our history is not just the built environment. And
So we have excellent communication with the tribe. It's happening. We have the Stockbridge Muncie Commission, which meets regularly with the tribe to discuss communication and the rest between the tribe and the town. In addition, I'm in constant communication with Sherry White, Bonnie Hartley, and Jeff Belt, their historic preservation. I can't remember his exact last name. But we are in touch with them. We're currently, as far as town projects, we're getting prepared to do the Bullard Woods archaeological assessment in order to determine whether or not we can do the dredging project in Bullard Woods. So that's going to be happening, and that's in coordination with the tribe. As far as every time the town so for the Revolutionary War Memorial, because we're proposing to put in a flagpole and everything else, the tribe and the town submitted the form to Mass Historical Commission. So the town constantly is evaluating everything that we do and making sure the tribe is aware anytime we're disturbing soil or anything else. As far as on private property, it's within the bylaws themselves and what can be done. I am actually talking to them about other bylaws in other communities that would help allow the town to enforce at times issues with when can we step in and say, hey, you need to do an archaeological assessment. But you have to understand there's private property rights too. So unless you're referring to up at Marion Fathers of the concerns that were raised.
well, there are other concerns like that. I mean, that was probably the most prominent one.
Well, unless the select board and myself are aware of them, I don't know what these are.
And the same effort here is the communication part of it. And if a seat is opening on the Stockbridge Muncie Commission, get someone from the Historical Commission involved so that we have that link. I mean, right now it's dependent on phone calls to me, but I think that the meetings are important too. So just one of those typical things in a community. All right, then the next thing is the Stockbridge Town artifacts that are in this building and I don't know what's stored at the garage or at the water building in Interlaken. There were things there at one point. Should we not get these photograph cataloged and put in a notebook or on a computer so that we don't lose sight of things? Like from Proctor Hall, we had a box with the piece of paper that they found in the rafters during the archaeological or the architectural assessment at Proctor Hall. And it had the dates of them doing the work after the fire and things like that. And it ended up, I think, in your office. But there are many things like that here. I think we need to get pay attention to them. It's our history and we don't want to lose them.
I guess a little specificity on what we're talking about
Oh,
would be
oh, well,
better to understand.
more plaques, more pieces that came off buildings, more, Chris Marsden had assembled some things and kept them.
He had the Washington plaque that got hit by the mower out
That's right.
front.
That's
And then
right.
I think it
That is
ended
right in
up
my
in your
office.
office.
Yep.
And then there's the I never.
Yeah,
said
the
Torqueville plaque, which nobody seems to know where it is.
It was in my office. I mean, in the office, behind, the cabinet now that's in the hallway. So I don't know if that got moved down to the,
not
record
sure
room
what
or
that
what.
is.
It's,
So,
Yeah, I mean, we've got a problem.
I can show it to you.
He's got
so some of this needs a little bit of, I can't sit here and answer these because I'm not aware of them. And, I've been here for 5 years and I can only speak to the
Yeah.
things that I'm aware of. That we've moved and stuff, such as the original horse or the original cat and dog is down in the highway building. So
So that's over there now.
that's secure.
Okay.
Yep. The one that's up there now is a replica.
That's it right there. It's a big plaque too.
Oh.
It's,
I've never seen that.
and
So-
it was never put up. So
Right.
it was brand new.
Oh, wait a minute. So let me just see that one more time. No, that's not what I thought I saw somewhere. I think I did see that in this building at one point.
Well,
I mean, I can picture it right when, if,
yeah, you had it between your filing cabinet and the wall
Right.
when I photographed it.
All
right.
right. So, but obviously that was a number of years ago. So
Well,
where
right.
it's been since, there's been
Yeah.
2 other administrators, an administrator, an interim, and then myself. So I can only comment on give me some of these and give me a little information. I can try to find out where things
I
are.
think that, just any kind of plaques, we can't get rid of for historic purposes. And if somebody doesn't want something in their office, we just need to put it down in the archive room. And then when we go, we can, inventory where it
So
is and
as
everything.
far as since I've been here, nothing's been removed. Nothing's been taken out. Even when we did the Sergeant Stones over at the cemetery and the original legs that were holding them and now we put curbing in, the legs themselves are broken. The pieces are actually in a box in my office. And they're going to be put in the mausoleum because they're part of the history of the building. So of the,
Right.
over there. So nothing's vanished since I started here in the last 5 years. But a lot of this seems to be referring to items I'm just not aware of. So
They may all be here and just not in plain sight.
And some people may not know what they're looking for or where to look. So,
And there was,
if at some point I have the time to go out and search around the buildings and the rest, I'll see what we can do. I'll ask water and sewer to take pictures of what's in any of these other
Oh, I think-
locations
I do because.
and at least get them back to you guys and tell me, okay, what is this? And
right.
that I do know because I was doing the finishing the cat and dog, we made sure all the pieces of the cat and dog went there. All the pieces at the cemetery, broken pieces and others have been set aside. And all those pieces, so we completely cleaned out the mausoleum, but we took even the old barrels, carts that they had. Those are down at the highway until the mausoleum's done, and then they're going to be put back in. So everything that has happened in the last 5 years has been, I know where that's gone.
oh,
I don't know about the things that were before me. So.
what about the railings on the Averick Road Bridge? They were supposed to be saved.
So a lot of the railings that were on the Averick Road bridge themselves,
They were originally made in the,
yeah. There are some of them that
blacksmith shop
there are
that
some
was
of them
there.
at the highway department, and then there were others that were completely missing, so, yeah.
Well, that's the other point too, because if you're putting contracts out, contractors need to be aware that samples of these things should be kept on the historic buildings. You don't have to keep the whole building
Yeah.
rot, but you
Just,
need good cataloging and good pictures
Yeah.
because it is part of the history. Also, contractors should not be given the right to salvage anything.
Right,
And there's where the railings go.
Well, the railings would be exactly the same railings that were
On
on
the other
the Curtisville
bridge. Yeah,
Bridge.
same
So if
bridge.
you didn't have all the railings on the Curtisville Bridge and you had
right.
the saved ones from Averitt Road, you could do
Yeah.
a patch job.
Yeah, we request all, since I've been here, everything's come back. So none vanished, none, just what was worth, how many we have of each one and what they were. Everything at the cemetery, we've categorized, taken pictures of. They've actually gone through and we've prescribed, I know Peter's aware of what's been happening at the Cemetery Commission. They did the etching to try to save the understanding and catalog the etchings that were made into some of the stones because they're limestone. They faded to the point that it's starting to get hard to read. So that was part of a project. So everything that we're doing, a lot of this seems to be stuff that was prior to COVID probably. And we'll just go from there.
Excuse me, Linda. Of course, I'm new on the committee and trying to catch up, but it seems I have a memory from our last meeting that there was conversation about a closet that in a space that is then rented to someone else that has artifacts.
Yeah, well,
in it.
that's the commission's files are in the closet over here, or they've been taken out.
No, your files are right there. They've all.
Yeah, I just have to go into somebody's office. to go. Maybe we could put the door on the end of the, there.
I can get you access anytime you need access.
Okay, I just wanted to make
All of your
sure.
Files are there. And I told you that, nothing, we've already had this conversation. Your files are right back there.
Yes.
All they are is they're behind the petitions in the planning board room. Nothing's been moved. So I'm not sure why,
Well,
other than,
it came up before because there may be stuff in there too that relates to artifacts from the,
all right, but sort of saying that there's something with that room. I don't know why that's being said. That room is your guys' room. All the information, all the files and everything is there. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, we have a lot more to go in there. I have an entire banker's box full of stuff to get filed since the beginning of COVID.
just to get back to the stuff that's at the highway garage, and is it labeled and, of what it is? And is it in a secure spot?
Yes.
that, with different turnovers over the years, I just don't want somebody else to go in and say, oh, we can get rid of that or whatever.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
So everything comes through me when it goes for
Okay.
disposal in order to determine, and then if it's over a certain value, it has to be declared by the select
Right.
board to be surplus. Nothing is, even when we replace the chairs in the senior center, I have to bring those to you guys if we're gonna, to the select board about whether or not we're gonna auction those chairs off. The old flowered ones that were in the room, they're now in the storage room over here. So nothing leaves this building, nothing leaves the town, until declared either
Surplus.
by myself, if it's under a certain value as surplus. And we still have to advertise, and none of it's done in secret. So nothing is leaving the building.
No, I think that some of the things are so modest that they might be overlooked. As not being important, but they may be historical. You have to kind of look at it that way.
I heard Georgia refer to a archive room. Did you use that term here in this?
I did.
And is there such a thing? And where?
Yes, we have, well, now we have two.
No,
Now we have two. We had
we're
one.
running out of space.
And now we have another one where like all the minutes are kept, the warrants are kept, anything that is, we need to retain through,
Like the assessor's records are
Yes.
one of
Oh, yeah.
those.
yeah,
First record.
everybody has Had a space down there and it's now kind of gotten commingled. So that's another little project for myself.
And the other thing is the other room downstairs, we have a lot of stuff. So when Waldorf School came in, we went over and cleared out the stuff.
Right, you brought
there.
everything
It's
back, yeah.
shoved downstairs in there. The plaques that they had, we specifically asked Waldorf, are you gonna leave them? So like, there's the main bronze plaque as you come in, they kept that. So it's like, but we said, if you're gonna get rid of any of these, give them to the town, you're gonna leave them up because they're the history of the building, then leave them on the building. So right where they always were. So, you know, we went and grabbed, we have the old file cabinets of the assessors, those old accordion one really doesn't work right. The other ones do. So we hired a moving company and had them grab the stuff out of there and shove it into this room. Now, at some point, we need to go through and figure out what we should be keeping, what should be going, what should be cataloged, the rest. But in the meantime, all this stuff has been secure.
Well,
I think John has to leave. He advised me that before the meeting started, so
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I have a family episode going.
okay,
Thank you, John.
so we have only one other thing. We wanted to talk about the Tuckerman Bridge. What the process is going to be.
That's the one near the golf course going towards.
That's the golf course one.
Yeah. So we have so that one's gonna have to be a chapter 85 bridge. Design. The Tuckerman Bridge itself was determined by Mass Historic. There's the records on it that it was a standard design at the time. The only thing unique about it is the company that built it.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a registry of that type of bridge. Because
As a non-historical, because it's the same design used by all bridges at that time.
yes, but it's the factory, the company that made those bridges that people have tracked.
It's the only identifier on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that by itself does not make it a historic bridge.
So Michael, I actually am looking at the email I sent you in August of 23. I sent you a copy of the Main Street National Register Historic District data sheet that lists the Tuckerman Bridge as contributing to the Main Street National Register Historic District. So seems to me,
I'll send you the paperwork on the registration of it that shows that it's.
and you sent me some paperwork back at that time, and this was my pushback saying, well, your paperwork predates this. In other words, Mass Historic in 2003, when they were doing the Main Street National Register District, said the Tuckerman Bridge is a contributing structure to that district.
Right. Well, the other piece of that too, Michael, is that when the first nomination papers were worked on, it was not historic at that time. It wasn't 50 years old even when they began. So the person who's doing the bridge, you know, the company research also pointed that out and saying that it couldn't be registered by itself. It was to be part of a district because the state doesn't want people to, you know, here or there, everywhere, you know, propose things for the register just because it's very costly to do that. It's better to do an area form or an entire street because that makes more sense for record keeping too, to qualify the street and the location.
Yeah.
So there could be a misunderstanding that they didn't think it was historic. No, they did not. They never stated that. It just, at the time, its age would not permit it to be considered historic.
But the bridge itself is going to have to be replaced to meet chapter 85 standards.
So is it going to be replaced to look like the current bridge or something totally different, like one of these modern bridges?
Well, you're going to get the guardrails, everything else of a modern bridge, just like Averick. So is it going to look like the bridge that's up there? No, it's, you know, you have a critical failure underneath due to the salt and the rest that is completely, the bridge rating has consistently come down. And the next step, if it's not restored, will be the closure of that bridge. So, you know, this is the conflict between, and my understanding from Mass Historic or anybody else, once we take it down, anything we put up, even if you try to simulate what was there before, they don't care because that's still a new bridge, period. They don't, same issue we ran in with the Curtisville Bridge,
So,
is that the bridge itself has a critical failure of the underneath support beams, which will lead to a failure of the bridge over time. It's not in danger of failing right now, but if anybody's tracked exactly what happened to the Curtisville Bridge, that bridge has been rated lower and lower in weight. And the next step is going to be the complete shutdown of the Tuckerman Bridge, which will affect the golf course, will affect everything. So,
state money will be involved in this restoration, right?
yeah, we've got a $1 million Mass Works grant.
And
Uh,
And doesn't Mass Historical Commission have to approve the use of state money when a historic asset is essentially being removed? I mean, did they approve it?
So I'll go back and double check everything and get back to the board at the next meeting.
Cool.
The thing is that the bridge itself has to be replaced. This isn't a restoration project. If it was a restoration project, all that would kick off. This is a full replacement of the bridge. So the only thing being kept are the abutments, which the Board of Selectmen, in trying to keep the abutments, applied for a hydrological waiver because the current requirements of a bridge is that a bridge abutments can't be in the riverway. So that's why all these bridges, people are wondering why bridges are costing so much. The main thing about bridges costing so much is that when a new bridge, like the one in Great Barrington and the rest, those abutments that go into the river now have to be outside the, so you have to tear the abutments out and you got to build a whole new bridge beyond. We've claimed that's because the way the river flows around the bridge, that the bridge itself isn't going to impact because it's the climate resilient stream crossing, river crossing standards that we now have to meet. That we're trying to claim that due to the hydrological assessment that the area of the floodplain floods around it. So the bridge itself isn't impeding the river, creating flooding dangers and the rest for climate control. So I don't know, unless you're saying Mass Historic's going to stop us from replacing the bridge.
Well, there'll have to be an investigation with their using state money, so.
Yeah, I mean, just as an
I mean,
example, the
town.
bridge on Route 183, right by the Botanical Garden, like, there was a letter to us from Mass Historic saying, hey, do you think this bridge is historic? And frankly, we let the time lapse before we responded, saying, yes, it was. In the meantime, they decided that it wasn't because it wasn't all that old or whatever. But I think had we been a little more timely and they'd been a little more understanding of the historic nature of that bridge, they might have said something different than what they ultimately said, which is take it down, do whatever you want. So it just seems to me that process presumably would happen at some point with the Tuckerman Bridge. I don't know if it has happened or will happen, but yeah, I'd be grateful if you could check it.
All right, I'll make sure that we'll get it out there because, yeah.
Because it's, right now, it's right at the prime end of that historic district. That's,
Yeah, it just seems weird, I mean, maybe there's an exception if like it's gonna fall down and there's nothing anybody can do, but it would seem like Mass Historic would have to say something or something. I don't know.
This is the constant, seems to be the constant battling between climate, Chapter 85 standards and historic, because the bridge as it is right now cannot be saved under Chapter 85 standards. So the bridge is either going to be closed or replaced.
Didn't you tell me once that there was a distinction like that the Curtisville Bridge had been closed to vehicular traffic so that we couldn't call it a repair? And so I'm wondering why isn't the Tuckerman Bridge, because it's still open, why couldn't
It's
you?
the damage to the bridge itself as to whether or not you can restore the bridge or not.
well, yeah, but I can think of a lot of other Berkshire County bridges that are probably even more fragile than that one, but they're open. The traffic can only go one
No,
lane or one vehicle at a time.
It's all right for you to make that statement. It's not all right for engineers to make that assessment. They make the assessment of the bridge and determine whether or not based on the damage and the rest to what weight it can carry. And then when it gets to a certain point, the bridge itself will be closed. And we're trying to head off the closure of that bridge as a major traffic. I mean, we're talking, its ratings on the thing. I know you're familiar with those ratings. They're 4s out of a 10-point scale. So we are rapidly heading toward the closure of that bridge. We're also rapidly heading toward the closure of the Glendale Bridge on the other side. So that bridge was built in 1972. What happened is they put beams, cement beams with reinforced iron, pulled cables inside of them, stress cables.
The horizontals.
Yeah, the horizontals, they put 5 of those, they put blacktop over the top, and every bridge built between 1972 and 1974 with this design is failing. Because what happens is salt gas creates holes in the blacktop, salt water gets down, and then it gets between those columns, and it causes rust expands, breaks the cement, and that's what's happening underneath the bridge. After 1974, they put down a 6-inch pad over the top, cement, because gas doesn't go through cement. And every bridge after 1974 is fine. Bridges between 1972 and 1974 were built without this pad, which allows the salt water to get in between the beams. And that's going to lead to that bridge. And that bridge right now, because it's going to require footings and the rest, we're talking $8.5 million, and that was 2 years ago in order to restore. So we've got a lot of issues with bridges that should have been addressed before. And now you get to the point that when they're failing is when here's where we're at.
Well, obviously, at some point, like an engineering survey of these kinds of structures in the town is going to be necessary to, you've got to be able to classify things as really
So-
important as opposed to can wait 100 years.
I can't say what was happening before, but every 2 years, your bridges get an inspection.
Right.
We review now at a Public Works Committee meeting, and every bridge report that comes in is reviewed by the committee. What can the town do to protect the bridges that we have? So that is happening. I can't talk about bridges that were already rated poor when I got here. So I don't know if you guys ever saw them, but yes, bridges. So anybody in towns are saying, oh my God, we're surprised the bridge was closed. There is no surprise. The Tucker one was identified with a critical failure back in 2018. And it's had a critical failure since. Now, I know I don't want anybody thinking the bridge is going to collapse. It means that the bridge is to the point where it's going to need to be replaced. The work that could have been done should have been done well before. And
I think this also speaks to the fact that we need to get a community preservation plan in the works. Since our open space and recreation plan hit the dust, that never got finished.
Well, now they're looking into doing that now.
Oh, okay, so that's
The
back
Parks
enough.
Department is working on that and has a working draft document.
The open space, that one. Okay, but we still need the community preservation plan because that's a broad spectrum plan that would take in more things than just historic buildings. It's about landscape. It's about engineering projects. It's about anything that you're doing within the boundaries of the town. And other towns have done them, and it's a real great planning tool, I must say, for the people that have it. It gives them a benchmark to work from, and so you're not just,
we're trying to get an open space plan. We're trying to get a master plan. And I think, right, the community preservation, but actually, if you remember, I believe I brought it up to the CPC committee repeatedly about the fact that you have to operate the way you do because you don't have a CPC plan in place where then you could have money set aside to do emergency repairs and other things. And
so
that would be appropriated at town meeting, but the only way you can do that is through a CPC plan. So
the place to look for that is the Coalition of Community Preservation
we
Committees.
brought them out here the second year I was here.
Yeah,
to speak to the.
But they have funding now for that, is what I'm trying to say. And it was available in April, so I'm sure it's all gone at this point.
So-
But maybe next April.
So the CPC committee has to decide that it wants to proceed with a CPC plan, identifying where you're going to use your funds and everything else. My understanding before there was resistance to that because right now the committee itself just meets and makes determinations by the committee itself instead of with a master plan or open space plan, you end up prioritizing the things by the town of the things you want done instead of the committee. So I don't know. I don't know why you don't have why we don't have a master plan, an open space plan or any of these plans.
I
So
think-
we're in the process of doing them.
I think that people that haven't, maybe if they've always lived in the same place, they don't see, I mean, the change is less striking sometimes. But for people who come from other communities, out to rural Western Massachusetts, they're surprised it's not just like Boston or, the Worcester area or Hartford. So, planning is something that I think Stockbridge needs more of. I think what Stuart Saginaw was trying to tell us is that they may require these plans of the towns in order to offer funds to us. We have to participate in that. So I can see that there's some leverage there that might be happening if we could, see the value of it. It's foresight instead of hindsight.
Yeah. I agree, but you don't have the plans.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't have them. And like I said, that with the bridges, these reports have been coming in every 2 years on every bridge we have. And I'm not sure the process that was done before, but we are examining them now and identifying things to get ahead of. It's hard to come in when the bridge has already reached the point that it has a critical failure.
we'll see what happens next. Okay, I think that's it on the projects.
Well, we also have the Hearst House at the cemetery.
Well, that was not
That is,
in the cemetery sent already their 3 reports, so I know what they did and didn't do, and they were having a meeting. When is your meeting to contract?
If you have an update on the Hearst House, I think we'd be grateful to hear it, Mike.
yeah. So we're having the contractors come in to take a look at the Hearst House on October 14th.
It's October.
That's where they're doing the walkthrough. They'll look at it. And then what the bids are due at the end of the month. Then we'll have an idea of whether or not we can do the project within what was originally estimated or whether or not additional funds, or we'll have a good idea of what the actual cost of restoring it is. Because there was some question on what it would be. Because a lot of quotes that we go out and get and we think are at this price, the markets as they are not are difficult to assess. The mausoleum work continues on the roof and the wood over at so the roof's been replaced and then they're restoring the wood that was dry rot and the rest around it. They didn't have enough to do the masonry work. We have some of the same issues over there as we do at the Chime Tower, but we're gonna go for additional funds and put out a second bid to do the masonry work itself.
Yeah, that didn't come through the Historical Commission or the CPC, so. The only reports I have are for the work that has been done, or a progress report, which is saying, it's giving us negative research, which counts as much as positively.
So,
Good research completed because you know where you got to.
Yeah.
And that goes to the next person and the next board, and then you get to the finish.
the Mary Goodrich Bridge will be restoring the bridge itself as far as replacement of the steel cables, the decking, the rest. It doesn't affect the endpoints as far as the towers or anything else. This will set that bridge for the next 50 years. So that work is, we're currently putting the NOI in front of the Conservation Committee because the work's going to have to happen within the river area. Once we have that, we'll be going out to bid for resetting new cables, resetting the decking and everything else. And like I said, once that's done and reinforced, the bridge will be in great shape for the next 50 years. And that's now a town bridge as of 2 town meetings ago. So
What's the date of the Mary Goodrich? What's the date of the Mary Goodrich Bridge?
18 something.
Okay. Yeah, it's flipping.
Yeah. The historical pieces are your end pieces. The rest of it's just steel cable and wood decking. The wood decking constantly gets replaced as it wears. So, yeah. I know they sandblasted before with peanuts. Was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Because you can't use sand on the bridge itself. So before the steel cables, in order to extend their lives, they sandblasted them with peanut shells. And the peanut shells are allowed to fall right into the river. That's why you use peanut shells on bridges when people hear like older bridges that have rust and stuff, we can get ahead of it by bringing in companies and then get an NOI in front of the conservation committee and use peanut shells. So,
They often use walnut shells
or walnut, it might be walnut.
because
Because they're hard.
they're hard, but they also have oil.
Well, it's a nut shell that they use and it's allowed to go into the river. So it's something you can do to treat bridges to try to remove the rest. That was done, once again, I believe that was done back in did you do it, Georgia? Or was it before you? The sandblast. Oh, it was Laurel Hills. I don't even, it would have come to the town for it.
I didn't.
But now
know the
that-
exact date, but it was built before 1895.
So she knew it when she was alive.
Yeah.
So this is just a replacement of the decking and the steel cable. So that the bridge is going to be the exact same bridge. It's just the steel cable itself needs to be replaced and then the decking needs to be set. And this is, the steel cabling is in good, it's going to need to be replaced within the next 5 to 10 years. So we're trying to just get ahead of it. Once it's replaced, it won't have to be touched again for 50 years. The wood decking will just go in and it'll look exactly the same as it is. And those are just the maintenance components of that type of bridge, while the foundation stones and the rest that were done will all remain.
And that'll be done next year.
If we can get the NOI and everything done, I'm hoping to put it out to bid this winter and with a construction next season. And I know, talking to Laurel Hill, what we'd like to do is not start any of the construction until after the festivities around the 250th and everything else, having everything open, but then work on it. Because once they remove the cables and the rest, obviously, the bridge is going to be down for a while. And we're going to need to think about how we want to advertise that and the rest. So that one I know I need to bring you up to speed on that one too, because that started before Georgia. So, and that's all the ones that we have happening right now. And I'm more than willing, as I've expressed before, of coming to all your meetings and giving you updates whenever you meet. Just all I ask is that you reach out to me as I've expressed, and so that I can schedule you so that I don't have other things, and come and give consistent updates.
I think we need your presence more when we're talking about things that are using state money, and town money. Because a lot of our discussions are about parsing out some of the history and trying to get dates established.
But if you want me to come to your meetings and just continually give you just an update from the town administrator on town and state projects, could be a standing agenda item. And, I could guarantee I could come to all your meetings if you have a regularly scheduled meeting every month, because that's easier. I can just put it in my calendar. If not, I just ask that the week before, reach out to me and I'll do my best to come to these meetings, because we just expressed that there's been some difficulties in communication. So I'm just trying to offer something to try to improve the communication with this board instead of guessing what should, shouldn't, could.
Well, sometimes the state gets to us before you, and that's part of the communication. I can tell who they have CC'd, and I'm always surprised when certain parties are left out. But it's usually because it's a project that they might have developed rather than us. We're just getting.
So what's a recent one?
The most recent one, I got 2 separate letters. An organization is providing replacement windows for houses over 100 years old. And they were working with 2 different owners on Sargent Street.
So I'm talking about town or state projects that.
Yeah, but that goes through the state, and it came through the Historical Commission.
Right.
State Historical Commission. And it's a project I never even heard of.
Oh.
So, I think the idea is for people to replace their windows for better energy, but at the same time, take the character of the neighborhood into consideration. And so the one of them even suggested that Sargent Street might end up being, we might want to have that as a National Register district. So that was kind of out of left field, but if that kind of service is available, I'll bet you a lot more people are going to apply for that. particularly in the older housing stock in town like Stockbridge, so. But we need to fix.
Yeah, we need to schedule
We've got to get
our
that date.
November meeting, but I think we can excuse Michael, but he doesn't need to be on.
Do you want to
that
hear
one.
about our dates?
I don't think he wants to hear about it.
Just send me your date that you're gonna be in November and I'll gladly come back and update you on any of these with any updates that we have.
We will do that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael.
October the 9th. Thanks, Michael. This is a good update on many.
All right.
I didn't bring my calendar. I didn't bring my calendar.
We've lost a couple of
I
people,
actually
so we
did.
may have to do some emailing, but we might as well. We have 4 of us here.
Let's see, the dates.
Yes, I'm looking at the schedule.
The applications,
They
okay,
do Friday, November 14 at noon.
all right.
They're going to be digital, which is good. And then there might be a hard copy or 2 floating around as well.
I think that they
It's always
do
dicey.
provide us, I mean, having 7 people read all this stuff, it's gonna be a lot to go through. Okay, so the applications are.
And when does the CPC meet? The applications come in on November 14. We have to review them before the CPC and then report to the town council in time that they can look them over, whatever we've said, and then they put that in their report to the CPC.
Isn't the CPC final meeting December 5th or something? Do I remember that right?
Okay, so the public meeting will be October the 15th.
Right.
And they'll be coming in to tell us about projects. It's not a voting meeting. It's just, hello, will this qualify kind of thing. Then the voting meeting is on December the 8th. So between that
Okay.
14th, the week after the 17th of November, and allowing us enough time to get it to the town council.
Yeah, we've got Thanksgiving in the middle there, which is Thursday, the 27th.
It's the
So
holiday.
conceivably, we clearly don't want to meet that week. We could
Mm-mm.
possibly meet the week of the 17th. That wouldn't give us a lot of time to review the applications.
Well, if you had a week, I mean, to the end of the week, it could work.
Yeah, so maybe late that week.
20th, the 21st. I have no idea until we have the public, how many people are going to apply anyway.
But we can imagine that there'll be,
Well, we know like 70% of them will be for historic preservation.
So, I'll just write on the back of it. What were you thinking? I'm sorry.
Well, he's looking at the week,
possibly the week of November 17. I have 9 AM meetings both on.
Later in the week would be good
Yeah.
for me because I have cataract surgery the end of the previous week.
okay.
And they do one eye and then the other eye, which is
Well,
so
that's the
weird.
second eye.
Okay, well, that's
Oh,
good.
so you're getting
Then you'll,
Yeah.
right, at least you'll be able to like
Yeah, I'll
have vision
be
on
able
both
to
eyes.
binocular vision.
Yeah.
So,
So maybe Thursday, the 20th?
that probably will work for me.
Okay, so like 10:30?
Yeah, that'd be good. I have a 9 AM Zoom, so I should be safe by 10:30.
Okay. I'm just hoping.
And so we'll just let the other people know that's what we decided and hopefully they can come. I sent Michael and I copied you, Georgia, and you, Linda, on the last Tuckerman Bridge related email that I
Okay.
sent.
Yeah,
It has
yeah,
a copy of the
Yeah. Okay.
key page from the National Register District and just reiterated that I think it's important they just let us know, what does Mass Historic do? I don't think
I'm
they're
going
supposed
to,
to just willy-nilly
I want to,
crash historic bridges.
when they copied the pages for the archives in Boston at Mass Historical, they were out of order. That was one thing. And that also
Yeah, that's right.
affected
Yes,
the
yes, it is
date.
out of order in the.
So I'm
in what's online.
gonna print it and look at it, and because I can see how you could take that as being not historic, that stipulation.
But it wouldn't be hard, frankly, to look at that Mass Register
No.
Historic District and say,
Well-
oh, look, there it is.
I just have another question when we're finished with all that. To go back to something that was on our agenda.
Oh. Well, okay, so we went through what I picked up from our last meeting where that was the chime tower stuff and, no, sorry, the horse trough, the South Street Bridge, Stockbridge, Muncie, artifacts of the town, Tuckerman Bridge. The previous topics were your selectmen's meeting last night.
Oh, okay. So my question is that I was going to try on behalf of the town to apply for CPC funding for the fence.
Oh, for the
Civil
monument.
Monument.
Okay.
But maybe I shouldn't if I wait and to get quotes. I mean, I'm only getting one quote and that's from Bob Bartle, who is, can look at that and replicate
It,
pictures.
Okay.
So my question is, should I even attempt to do that? Because there's another application for the town that I'm going to put forth.
well, I think that first of all, doing this elaborate thing is not going to work. But though there was a fence there before in the report that she did. I think I probably have it here. Just give me 1 second. Amanda.
Yeah,
It was
Amanda.
very plain picket fence.
I didn't bring that file, so I can't
I know.
show you the other pictures. Well, I might be able to get it up on my phone, but I don't know. Because I hate this new phone. Sorry.
We all hate new fall.
Now see now this one.
What's the other application you're putting in, George?
To digitalize all town records that, we had that done when I was back in the day from the beginning up to like 1999. And it was all on a CD disc and it was searchable and everything. Well, now nobody has discs anymore. And it was never continued on since then. And I would just like to redo everything so that people can search. They can come in and they can search, like, Wilson, like all the subdivisions and
Right,
stuff that they had off of Interlake and Road and stuff. They could bring up everything that talks about that, or like even the Civil War monument or stuff like that. So,
The one thing you have to be really careful on, you might want to look at the CPC site, the website. They
Yeah.
don't allow digitization,
I-
which I think is ridiculous.
Right, the language of the CPC is quite narrow in terms of, it's supposed to be preservation of historic resource. And so there have certainly been issues in the past with us frankly having to say, well, that's not within the language of the CPC, and I forget the details.
oh, okay. Well, then I'll,
But the thing is, you could match it. You could get town money. And then get money from the CPC, but not use it for digitization. It might be more organizational or something. You know what I'm saying? They'll allow the stuff.
I'll have to look at the CPC. Okay.
The little chart is very helpful too that they have, and they just printed it in different colors.
Yeah, I actually am looking at that chart right now, and
Are
I
you
will
looking at that?
send you a copy of it.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you, Peter. All right.
Commonwealth. Heck is that thing? Oh, here we go, mock-up. It's here. That's just,
And if you remind me, Georgia, I think I could dig around, the last set of minutes or two when we have met as a historical commission to review these CPC applications. I think somebody brought up something along those lines and we went back and forth about it. We may have punted it to town council and I don't know, town council may or may not have had an opinion. So at least there might be a little bit more I could find out too.
Okay.
Remind me.
pre-development.
I just emailed it to you, Georgia. Hopefully it'll get there. It's a new stylized one they have, which is kind of snazzy.
Okay, so November the 20th.
You'll see right at the top of the chart, it's like you've got a problem right out of the gate. So, are we done?
I think we can close the
I
meeting.
move we adjourn.
Second.
Can we call a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.